brought this into play. And they did it really by ignoring the consequences, by going to borrowing way too easily, and by telling people in an intimate mind that brings out in my memory that deficits don't matter. Well, of course they matter. They add up. They're physically irresponsible. They're not what we do in our families. They're not what we have to do in our state, by the way. So, an old lesson in politics and life is when the hookah is getting deeper, at least stop digging it. Start. That is PAYGO. Elaine, you referred to deficit neutrality. I introduced that in Congress. That was just signed into law by the president a few weeks back. That's called PAYGO. You've got to be deficit neutral. Second, I agree with Charles. Balanced budget amendment is the way to go. I introduced that when I was in Congress. Third, hard, tough decisions. When you get yourself into that box, there's no easy way out. You want to reduce taxes, reduce spending. You want to do it the other way, deficit neutral. You've got to pay as you go. You've got to run this country the way that any family or business has to run.
Thank you. Rafael Del Castillo.
Thank you, Wayne. First and foremost, we need to assess the systems that drive deficit spending. And one of those guilty parties is career politics. The seniority system in Congress creates an enormous potential for deficit spending, for favored projects, and for spending that is not intelligent. We all know about that. We've all seen examples of it. We have to convert our system to a system in which we spend intelligently and we tax intelligently. One of the problems that is driving the deficit is that we have a regressive tax system that doesn't reward properly the things that are going to preserve a long-term growth for us in the future. We've got to adjust those regressive policies and make our tax system more progressive, more sensitive to the kind of things that do bring forward long-term growth and investing, and help people invest in long-term growth. I'll give you one quick example of that. We tax the middle class, the lower middle class, for saving. Everybody knows that saving is good for the economy, especially in situations like we have right now, but we actually tax people for saving, for selling what they've invested in and moving it, and so the middle class can never grow off of that floor that they're stuck with by the regressive tax policies. That's only one example. And the other thing that we need to do is, when we're working against this enormous debt, is to examine every piece of legislation that comes through Congress and make sure, as Cohen said, that it is deficit neutral and makes sense.
Thank you. We have an optional rebuttal for clarification.
Thanks, Ray. I think one of the most critical parts as you listen to all of this, let's look at history. Because I think one of the most effective ways of addressing problems is to go back in history and let's see where we were. One of the things we all can agree to is the fact that when the Clinton administration ended, we had a surplus. And somehow over the period of time, we developed a deficit. And the question is, do we attribute that to the Iraq War? Do we attribute that to the different kinds of decisions or the wrong decisions that may or may not have been made? But one thing we can do is we can look back at what they did to have been effective in addressing the debt and the deficit that we have. And that's a good place to begin. We must listen, and then we must study, and we must then know how to address this problem.
Thank you. Charles Anderson.
It's important, I feel, that we be open to change and that we help the innovation to advance. Raphael had mentioned when we have a lot of seniority emphasis in government. And when we get used to doing things a certain way and then continue on in that way, then we have what we have right now. We have these problems that exist, and so we must open up our vision. We must be willing to contribute toward the advancement of these innovations. So I ask your support so that we can do it Now is the time, don't let this opportunity escape. During this interim period, we can use it and not just wait until the regular elections come about. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles, Djou?
Wait, let's understand, the reason we have this enormous national debt is because the strategy of the United States Congress right now is spend, 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 and when in doubt, spend some more. If there's a problem in our nation, throw money at it. I don't believe throwing money at a problem has ever fixed anything in our nation. The budget deficit this year, which is going to add to that national debt, is looking at $1.6 trillion. That's the largest budget deficit in American history by a magnitude of 3. Let's also not have any doubt here that what the Bush administration did and what the Republican Congress did was wrong when they ran up $250 billion, $500 billion budget deficits. But what the Bush administration did being wrong with $500 billion budget deficit doesn't make it right now that the Obama administration and the majority of Congress is running $1.6 trillion budget deficits. Let's restrain federal spending, let's reduce our taxes, put more money in the pocketbooks of the average American. Let's get this debt in control.
Thank you. Philman Lee?
I'd like to, it's a matter, some budget is a very difficult one, but it's just a matter of, I believe, investing in our future and increasing our factors of production and investing in the education of our children so they can have a better future and a high paying. And also to workforce development, so we have a highly skilled workforce that can support our economy. I think a big factor also is foreign wars that are absolutely unnecessary. That's one thing I agree with Ms. Collier there, that we need to bring our men and women home as soon as it's practically possible and save that money to invest in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Case?
As Colleen points out, we had a budget surplus in 2000. The next couple of years, we messed up our budget seriously. And we did so by substantially increasing the cost of government and reducing revenues, thinking that we could somehow make it up, or that the future would take care of itself, or we would be forced to a choice. And that was the strategy that was pursued at the time. Then something happened that they didn't plan on, or at least anticipate. We had a recession. The revenues went down even further. And we had a basic policy decision to make, which I believe is something that I disagree with Charles on, which is whether we should have provided some stimulus to save industry. That worsened the deficit. I think it was necessary, but we clearly have to pull out of it at this point and start to balance that budget again. But you've got to save up for the rainy days.
Thank you. Rafael Del Castillo?
I want to make sure everybody understands. I don't believe that you can cut your way out of a budget deficit. It's a fact that increasing taxes, and I don't mean at the lower levels, but it is a fact that increasing taxes is less harmful to the economy than slashing programs. We can't cut our way out of this. What we have to do is stimulate growth, similar to the way that we stimulated growth, not the same policy necessarily, but similar to the way that we stimulated growth in the 90s that brought us to such a heyday in our budgets. We got in this position to begin with because we slashed taxes, because we had faulty tax policy, and we slashed them at the top where we shouldn't have been doing that. And as Ed said, we also increased government spending, which just compounded the error. It's got to have good tax policy to get ourselves out of this.
Thank you. Optional rebuttal?